everybody, to the first NHS presidential debate in, I think, the history of NHS. I'm very excited to have two very professional candidates here, Mr. Ayan Kumar and Mr. Matthew Ma. We recognize these aren't the only candidates. Of course, there's also Michael Yang, Madison French, and many others, but these two have been the ones that have been fighting the most, so obviously we had to have them in debate. Like, it's just entertainment at this point. So before we begin, I would like to say that we want to keep this debate civil. It's supposed to be a Socratic conversation. We don't want screaming or fighting. Do both of you understand?
I understand.
Okay, so
Yes.
before we start with the debate, do you two want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'll go first. So my name is Ayan Kumar. I am a junior at Conestoga High School, and I'm running for the president of NHS.
Okay, Matthew.
That's a pretty great introduction. Thank you for that. My name is Matthew Ma. I'm a junior at Conestoga High School, and I will be running for the president of NHS.
Okay, so before I ask some questions, I just want to let everybody in the Twitch chat know that we will be accepting a few Q&A questions at the end. So if you have any questions, please leave them there, and we will try to answer some of your questions. So the first question I have for all of you is that, what are some of your plans for NHS? What do you want to do to NHS that will make it better?
Yo, Charlie, nobody can hear you.
Oh, no one can hear me.
Oh, I can turn up your volume. I got it.
What?
Sorry, hold on. Let me turn up your volume. Is this better? Say something.
Hello?
Yeah, it should be better.
Okay, so again, if you couldn't hear, we will be accepting Q&A at the end of the questions. So if you have any questions, please leave it in the Twitch chat. So the first question I would like to ask the two candidates is, what are some of your plans for NHS that would make it better and make it a more exciting experience? So Ian, I'm going to have you start off with this one.
So after discussing with many of my peers that are involved in the National Honor Society, I've noticed that there's a major flaw in the idea of tracking hours. Many individuals have mentioned that tracking the hours on Excel has really been disorganized, and rather it's quite complicated for individuals to know how many hours they've tracked. And if it's rather Sorry, I was reading a question of my constituents, which I would like to add is another thing that I value. But also, besides that, the tracking of hours is quite complicated here at NHS, and I want to work to make sure that is more efficient rather than being unorganized and have complaints, because this is really important to the facilitation of a National Honor Society. Also, I've noticed that people are confused about the different hours opportunities that they have and how to get hours in an efficient way that can be tailored to their needs, interests, and wants. So as president, I would work to partner up with other local clubs to make sure that each student is getting a tailored need that can help them achieve their hour goals. And also, I want to make sure that this is inclusive to everybody, as there are many different divides that are impacting our world today. I want to make sure that no individual is feeling left out, as being excluded from certain groups is not anything that is ever accepted. And as president, I would work towards making sure that all students, including Mike Dora, are accepted for all their qualities.
Okay, so Matthew, what do you have to say to that? Do you have any plans of your own?
Right. I have a quick question for Ayan Kumar. Have you ever added your own hours?
Can you clarify your question?
Like, have you used a form to fill out your own hours before?
So yes, I have used a form before.
Right. So, in my opinion, after using this NHS form, I think it's pretty easy, right? You type your name in the way you put it, you type the hours that you did, you put it in the form, you submit the form, it automatically goes to the Excel document. And I understand that there may be some errors sometimes, there's maybe some glitches, but I think as a whole, all in all, it's been pretty effective. And I think the problem is not the system, it's the education about the system.
And Matt, I like to say I totally agree with what you're saying. Okay. And however, I would like to make sure that we're continuing to be inclusive of others. You mentioned that you felt it was easy. However, we cannot assess and generalize that conclusion to the broader population. So I want to make sure.
So sorry.
All right, Matthew,
this is my time to answer.
Please do not interrupt.
Is that all right? It's my time. It's my turn to answer, right?
Hey.
You can address this
afterwards.
Not
interrupt. Hey. Let Ian talk, and then you have your chance to rebuttal.
Rela Harse. Rela Harse. I want to make sure that each student is taught how to operate the form so they can have an easy experience, because not everyone has found it to be easy. Personally, it took me a while to understand the facets of the Microsoft Forms, and the fact that you're calling it easy hurts my character, man, because thought that I was an intellectual individual.
Okay, we're gonna have to put a
Understand.
5 seconds left on your time. You've been yapping too much. All right, Matthew, what would you have to say to that?
Right. So in opposition to my opponent's alligators cheers right there, if you actually listen to my talking, I said the problem was education. It was exact same thing he just said. He piggybacked off my answer because he didn't mention it in his own answer. I think this kind of indicative of his leadership style for NHS in general. And I will be addressing his education issues through presentations at meetings, through walkthroughs. I will be expanding this to every single NHS member. And I've been talking to many of these people. If you look on our Instagram, we've been interviewing people, we've been talking, we've been making connections. And the second part, connections, is where I would like to bring in many of my contacts. I've talked to the CS Club president, Jake Frischman, or next year's CS Club president. I apologize. DECA, I've also have leadership roles and many friends in the leadership in Stoga DECA as well as I'll be working with my running mate, Charlie Gawthrop, to be providing multiple new hours opportunities for the music department, peer mediation, and investment club. So I really do have many opportunities to open, and as well as, making the forms a little bit easier for people to understand, as well as education for the forms.
Okay,
Wait, also Charlie, one thing.
yeah,
Adi says he still can't hear you. I can hear you. I'm not sure why Adi can't.
that may just be a live stream problem.
Yeah, I'm not completely sure.
I think other people can hear me.
Yeah, I mean, it might just be a problem on their end. I'm not sure. Hold on.
Ian?
Yes.
Yeah, I just got confirmation that people can very much hear me, so it might just be a problem on their thing.
Adi cannot hear, but I'm not
Okay,
sure.
we have gotten a question from Frank that we'd like to ask. So, how do you two represent the 4 pillars of NHS? Matthew, I'm going to have you start with this one.
Right. So I think, just as a person, I think I kind of embody the 4 pillars of NHS. So scholarship, right? I mean, I think everyone in NHS embodies the pillar of scholarship by just being there, having that 4.7 GPA requirement, but even going past that, having a good relationship with your teachers, club advisors, the administration, everyone. I think that is a really important part that is often underlooked. Leadership, I mean, I think it's something that both of us have. Both I and I do have quite high leadership positions, both in and outside of school, which I think is very commendable for both I and myself. Character, I know there have been some accusations against my character in posting that carnival song, but I have taken steps to make sure it's clean. I have taken steps to make sure that everyone feels included, no one's being hurt, as seen in the discussion Ian and I had in the comments. The last one, service, I think we all, pretty much fulfill as well, because, we all have hours. We're all able to run for president. And with my, I think, 15 and a half hours, I'm almost the requirement as well.
Okay, Ian, what is your response to that? Again, I've
Thank
been
you.
asked to
All
limit
right,
your
all right, I
time.
got the question.
I've
So
been asked
first,
to
I'd
limit
like to
your time.
address.
Ian,
I would like
Ian.
to address a common question that I'm seeing in this chat because it seems that this is prominent among the constituents, and I want to repeat that I value my constituents. So, can I speak to the brain rot and if it will affect my NHS leadership? So, I'd like to clarify that as a character, I am not rotted in my brain, and I rather enforce brain growth, brain nourishment, and I think that this will help enhance my my NHS leadership. And speaking about the 4 pillars of NHS, I'd like to address Matt. Matt, I recall that right before the eligibility for our NHS elections, you had 4 hours.
Right.
And I'm wondering how you quickly jumped to 15 hours within 2 days. I'm not questioning you or accusing you of anything. I'm
Right.
rather just asking you, what did you do that helped you gain 11 hours within 2 days?
Right. So I think actually, there's a bit of an error in your statements. I'd actually had around 5 or like 10-ish hours from volunteering at the Achievement Center as well. I did not just have the 4 hours from NHS, but I did have church hours that I haven't submitted yet. And you can check with my church. I do volunteer at the Sunday school. This has been approved through the proper means of NHS leadership. So, I mean, I think this is a lot coming from someone who has claimed to be running so that other people don't get NHS president. I don't think that's very I don't think that's very indicative of your character as one of the 4 pillars. I specifically heard you say to me in our second period AP government class that you've been running so
Okay,
other
let's keep
people
it
do
civil,
not get,
Matthew.
including
Let's
me.
keep it civil, Matthew. Keep it civil.
Matthew, I appreciate your concerns. However, I would like to see some sort of evidence before you accuse me of such heinous activities. And
Yeah,
it's
I would
really
like to
hurtful
I
towards
witnessed that.
me. And I just feel like you're really attacking me. And like Small Snake 17 is saying, it feels kind of racist. And I don't know.
Keep it civil. Let's not
That's
make personal
Yeah,
attacks.
let's not make any ad hominem attacks right here. Do
Okay,
not
Matthew,
tell
you two,
into
calm
anything
down.
about my character.
okay. I apologize.
Okay. Um.
Yes, I'm
So
Hindu.
Sorry, can I reply to that real quick? Sorry.
yes, you have 20 seconds to
There
reply.
are eyewitnesses, and I have, people have heard you say that. I can call Jeffrey Wang up right now, and he would agree with me.
Do you have anything to say?
Jeffrey
You
Wang
have
would
20
agree with you on what? Sorry, I misheard.
He was there in the conversation in that room,
In what conversation?
in the one where you told me that you are running for NHS to take it away from other people, not even to put it on your own resume or as for your own
So
achievement.
I have Carter Pugh as well to back me up that I never said that.
I think that we can
And I
call him up
believe
now.
that this will be a nah argument for all of eternity. So I
Right.
think that point is rather irrelevant.
Yes.
And it's not
Okay. Yes. I
applicable.
think we need to move away from this position before it gets too. There's no evidence for this, so we have to move away from this. So I think the next question that I have to ask both of you is one of utmost importance. It's what
Wait,
everybody's.
sorry, Audie texted me a question too.
All right, we'll get to that question. This question is of utmost importance. So both of you have a lot of leadership positions. Matthew, you're going to be the PA State DECA Vice President next year. Ian, of course, you're going to be the Executive President of the school next year. So how are you going to manage this leadership position with the other leadership positions you have? So Ian, I'm going to ask you to start first.
So I'd like to address that as executive president, my goals and aspirations are not as time required as maybe from my point of view that DECA State Board has. From consulting with my close peer Jiang Li, I have learned that that role takes a significant amount of time. And I'm not trying to tarnish Matt and say he might not have much time for NHS, but I'm rather saying since I do not have such a time required role, I might be able to put more time into NHS and more time so that the National Honor Society is up.
Okay, Matthew, what do you have to say to that?
Right. So I'm not going to speak to Jiang Li's character, but I will say that he is not in the same position that I am. Right. I'm the vice president of Pennsylvania DECA. He's the vice president of business partnerships, which means he has a lot more hands-on, cold emailing businesses trying to get that connections. But for me, do you know what I do as the vice president?
No.
So the main thing that I do is a plan of action. So most of this will be completed over the summer actually. So I will create this document that all the DECA chapters will follow to ensure that they become a better DECA chapter and get recognition at the state level. But after the summer, all I do is basically accept the responsibilities of the president as needed, as well as answer emails and inquiries about this plan of action. So I do believe that this would take not substantially less time than executive president, but I think slightly less time than president because it's really just work concentrated in a few days as opposed to I'm going to do this all through the school year and I have to plan prom, I have to plan mini-thon. I have a lot of more responsibilities as the high school executive president.
And I'm going to give you 20 seconds to respond to that.
So I really appreciate your response in detail, and it really cleared up many different concepts. However, after different constituents currently just reaching out to me, it seems like it's being perceived that you're bragging about your roles, and I just want to help you clarify that you're not trying to brag. Um, I'm reading a comment and I am laughing.
Okay, Matthew,
I'm
you have
sorry.
20 seconds to
Are you
respond.
able to keep a serious face in this serious civil conversation?
I would love to keep a serious face, but I'm being accused of being on steroids, and I
Okay,
understand
yes,
that I'm
we're
just
going to ignore some
so
of the comments.
I'm
Some of the
so
comments have been saying
dang
that
it.
you were a child
You're
molester.
so
We're going
muscular
to ignore
that
those.
might
We're
impact
going to
me.
ignore those. Okay, so I have a question from Dylan. If you weren't running, who would you vote for and why? Which one of your opponents would you vote for and why? Ayan, you can start.
If I were not running, the candidate I would most like, and first of all, I really appreciate this question, Dylan. This is a great question that goes into the many different complexities that are involved in NHS president. I'd like to say, and I'd like to nominate, that I would probably most likely be voting for Madison French. I believe that Madison French is demonstrating a degree of character, service, leadership, and scholarship that demonstrates her dedication to NHS. Through her campaigning, it's clear that this is something that she truly cares about, and it's something that I value as a scholar and an individual in NHS. So I would most likely lean towards voting for her.
Matthew, what about you?
Right, I would definitely agree with Madison French, right? She obviously has the biggest chance of winning right now as she's not splitting votes with so many people, but I do think I think she's the candidate I would support personally. But I like to call into question how much campaigning she's done. From what I've seen and from the networking I've heard, she's posted one Canva doc on Instagram. Is that the
Matthew,
campaign
we're
you're
not
referring to?
asking you who you like, why Madison would not be a good candidate. We're asking
No, no,
who
I'm
you.
asking,
And I agree. And
I'm asking Ian about her campaigning.
okay,
Right now.
I agree, but I feel like it's not fair to discuss her
Yes,
campaigning
we're
since
not
she's
going
not
to
here
discuss
with
it.
us.
Yes.
So I feel like that would
Mm.
just be a little unfair to her as she's not here to defend herself.
So
And
Matthew,
next, I am being posed a question that I would like to
okay,
pose from my dear full scholar.
Can you let the
we'll
moderator
get to
do his
this
job,
in a
please?
little bit.
The moderator will be choosing the questions. You are not the
Yup.
moderator here. Please
Okay.
give the power
Matthew,
to
can
him.
you please respond to the question that was being asked? Who would you support and why?
Madison French.
Okay. Um, so I would since neither of you said that you would support each other, I want you to name one positive quality of the other person and why. You have to make it positive. Okay, Ian.
Mhm.
What about you? Why don't you start off with you?
The way Matt's eyes glisten in government class is really nice, and his hair is always shining. And I think that he could wear some earrings to really enhance his character. I think that's really admirable about Matt. So I think I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Ian. I really appreciate that. You put a lot of effort in. Um, I think the thing I appreciate most about Ian is, I think his ability to lead others, right? Whether through student council or these many public policy clubs, he has so many extracurriculars that he's leadership and part of that he can put on his resume. I'm like honestly, like that's just very impressive to me to have that time to be able to do that.
Okay.
Matt, I
No,
appreciate
we're
this
not going to respond to it.
generational comment.
Yeah, you
However,
can't respond to
We're
that.
not going
Listen
to
to the
respond to it.
moderator.
Okay. So we have a question from Declan. He asked, "What sets you apart from the rest of the group? So including Matthew and all the other candidates. What qualities of yourself, including the four pillars of NHS, set you apart from the other candidates?" Matthew, I'm going to have start with you. You have 1 minute.
Right. So I think the one quality that I possess compared to the other candidates would be my actual passion for NHS. I genuinely really like NHS as an organization. I think that it's really valuable to be able to push high school students to not only do it for college, but actually get involved with the community. They learn what they can do for the community, and I think that's really valuable to get into that habit early on in their lives. And I think it opens up a whole gateway of new opportunities for them in the future as well. And I'm dedicated to this because I myself love helping the community. So I think this is why it's so valuable to me and why I love NHS so much.
Okay, Ian, without attacking what your opponent said, what is one quality? The same question. What is one thing that sets you apart from everybody else?
something that sets me apart from everyone else is my ability to be a natural leader. I feel like since childbirth, I've always been unique and I've always set myself apart and I've always worked hard to be inclusive. Through many different examples of being excluded, I felt that this is a horrible feeling that no individual deserves. So I've worked as a leader to make sure that everyone is included. And I've had many different experiences in NHS, such as my pen pal trip today, that have allowed me to utilize my leadership skills to make sure that everyone is included in many different activities. And I think that sets me apart and makes me a qualified candidate.
Okay, so this question is Ian specific. Um, Looking at the comments and a lot of questions that I've received, a lot of people think that you are a racist, sexist, somebody called you Hitler. How do you respond to these claims?
So I'd like to first say that I appreciate the many concerns that are coming from my constituents, and I'd like to clarify that this was never my intent. And if you guys are feeling this way, I truly apologize from the bottom of my heart, and I'd recommend that you reach out to me in any form of communication so we can hopefully clear it up and reach some sort of consensus and understand where your concerns are from. And yes, yeah.
Okay.
Wait, can I have a follow up question to that, please?
Sure.
Why do you think that people think of you that way?
Sorry,
Okay.
my computer was glitching. But I'm reading the comment. But the reason I believe that people might think this way, and this is purely just from what I've heard, is that people have believed that because I am executive president, that I should not have this role of NHS president. People think that I have too much leadership, and
Sorry,
I think this is sorry.
I apologize. I think you misunderstood my question.
Okay, we're not going to have this question anymore.
Please let me ask
No,
you.
we're not going to have this question.
Oh, come on, bro.
So we have 3 more questions left,
Okay.
and then we'll be ending. So this first one was an interesting one. This question was asked to be remain anonymous. What are your thoughts on the Turkish Quandale Dingle and his recent impact on the online community, and how will you work around that on online activities of NHS? You have 20 seconds to respond because I don't know what this question
Can I
is.
answer this one? I got this one.
Yes.
So it is my understanding that Ayan Kumar actually knows the real life Turkish Quandale Dingle, or at least someone who looks pretty close to him, and he actually does have a video. But I don't think this is actually really an issue for NHS. I think just makes more people more energetic about it if we can, kind of include that into our programming.
And you have 20 seconds to respond to that.
So Matt, I respect your point. However, I think the TikTok Riz party is extremely crucial to today's society and culture. So as NHS, I'm gonna help host my own TikTok Riz party, and I'm going to be inviting Stoga Turkish Quandale Dingle to this event and making sure that they are represented.
Okay, thank you for your responses to that question. We have 2 very good questions left. So Ian, this one, you're both going to answer this, but Ian's going to answer this first. So if you are to be elected tomorrow, how would you respond to members? How would you make sure that the members feel happy? And how would you make sure that they have the hours opportunities that they need?
So Matt has helped point out that I'm quite involved in our local community. So I can work with the local clubs that are involved at Conestoga through my leadership position. And I can ensure that these different clubs that might need help in certain ways can offer some support towards NHS, particularly in DECA. If we are tutoring kids about ways of DECA, that can help get NHS hours and that can help me facilitate that sort of hours connection. And what was the other part of the question, Charlie?
How would you make sure that the members of NHS are happy? How would you like gauge like the membership and what they want?
So, as student council president, that has been a major task for me, making sure that my constituents are happy and satisfied. So, a way I've done this in the past, which will help show that I've experienced in this field, is sending out surveys regarding what they want to see and really voicing their opinions. As student voice is extremely important to me, and it's something that I value. So, sending out surveys regarding what students would like to see and different opportunities they would like to see will help make them happy because they feel that they're being included, but also help them be happy as they can see future opportunities that they value have some. And $95 prom tickets, which has been the same for 10 years. I'd like to clarify that because we are not inflating the prices, rather, we are maintaining the price due to the expensive venue.
Okay. Matthew, without attacking him
I want to
or
attack
his
that
answer,
comment.
please answer that same question.
Right. So I really do like that DECA idea. I think it's definitely something we can work for. I just want to compliment that point. But I think I have more robust connections that I've already been talking about and talking to the leadership with the clubs. Not only just my clubs, but other leadership as well. Like Jake Frischman, like I mentioned earlier in the interview for CS Club. That's a huge opportunity. Hackathon is a huge event at Conestoga and that provides so many opportunities for NHS members to earn their hard-earned hours. Um, but other than that, I have the music department, which I'll have a lot of leadership in next year as well as working with Charlie, my running mate, for pure mediation or investment club as well. And as for the second part of your question, I'm in DECA, right? This is like a very crucial part of business, maintaining your constituents' happiness and satisfaction. So I don't know about you, but I haven't really seen that many surveys being sent out in the school in general, not specifically to our class. But I think that with this more active, with this more reliable sense of surveys and real metrics being sent out and hours, tracking their hours improvements, I think it'll be more effective than just asking someone, "Oh, are you happy with how NHS is going?" Real objective numbers is what we need.
I value your point. I'd like to say and rather recognize the fact that, Matt, you're saying they're connections rather than friends. Do you not consider peers to be your friends, people that you enjoy spending time with? Because personally, I love NHS. I've dreamt of this moment since the moment I turned a sophomore in high school when I saw my dearest friends becoming and running for NHS board, and that is what has motivated me to run for this year. And I want
Well,
to know if
mhm,
you really don't think that these are your friends, and if you really think that you're somewhat above us by calling us merely connections.
right. So, I mean, I mean, a friend is a connection, right? Correct? I don't think nitpicking my language is the right and correct route to determine who I am as a person. They can be connections, but they can also be friends. Jake Frischman is my friend. I have friends in other leadership positions at in clubs at Conestoga. Charlie Gawthrop, for example, or even you as the leader of the entire school, being the president. But I do think that they are my friends, and I know Claire Kantorzik, the president in my sophomore year. She was my drum major. She is someone I call my friend.
Okay,
I
thank you for
have
that
been
response.
dreaming of this position since
Thank you.
freshman
Okay,
year, since
thank
I
you for
got
this
to high
response.
school. I've been
Uh,
working for this point. So I
before I,
don't really know what you're
okay,
trying to call
Matthew.
into action by saying I'm just calling them connections, which is very nitpicky for my language.
Okay. Before I get to the final question, another thing has been raised for you, Ian. People say that you're treating this like an ASMR channel, and you're being very whispering into your mic and changing your persona. How do you want to address that? Yeah.
So I'd first like to say that I apologize if my mic is off. That might just first be the settings with the streaming service, but it's also my computer. This computer is not the greatest condition. It's not my new one, so it might be impacting how the functionality of the stream is going on. And in regard to changing my character, I'm not changing who I am. I'm rather performing in my professional state. As you can see, I'm wearing a suit and I was ready to do that. And I'm wearing my glasses and I put on a middle part because having hair cover your forehead represents a degree that is not as professional. And I'm maintaining this character, showing that I'm professional because I want to ensure that everyone understands that I am value. I value this.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I would like to comply with this request. An, can you please stand up?
Matt,
We're not gonna. No, we're not gonna. No. Okay. We're gonna move to our final question of the night. This is a very important one because it shows that some of your characteristics of a good quality leader. It shows that you actually care about NHS. So, to you, what does NHS mean? How would you explain NHS to a friend? What does it mean to you? So, Ian, I'm going to have you start with this one.
rather than just saying NHS is a place where individuals are able to celebrate different academic accolades that they're receiving, such as the GPA requirement, I'd say NHS is a place where people can celebrate the way of life and giving back to the community, as that's something very valuable. And I'd say that we are able to learn from NHS that can shape our views, influence our actions, and help us reach like a true potential. And I'd say this is a safe place where people are able to grow and facilitate growth without being influenced in a negative way. It's a place that really facilitates positive growth rather than ever harming you in any sort of way. And I'd say that it's really this safe knit community that is willing to be there for you at any moment.
All right, Matthew, your turn.
Right. I think I would go past calling it just a place, calling it just a club. I think that NHS really is a family. This like really tight knit community that pushes you to be your best self. I think that it's really just something that I love and something that I'll cherish for all of my time in high school. It's something that pushes me to help my community even if I don't want to, or even when I don't want to. I apologize for that misstatement, but I think that it does push people to be their best selves and to give back to the community.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time today. Um, I'm going to give you 20 seconds for any final notes that you want to have, what you want to give to the people still watching. Um,
What is
so,
poetry?
Matthew, what are your final notes? You have 20 seconds for your final notes on what you want the people watching to know. Matthew, go ahead.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Charlie. So what I just want you to know is that I genuinely do like and love NHS as a club, and I will do my best and put all my effort in, regardless of any of my other obligations. I will do my best to make this club as good as possible, whether that's through connections that I have, or friends that I have, or educating others about the hours reporting system.
Okay. Ian, what about you? What is your last 20 seconds?
I want to say that I appreciate this opportunity to come here today and describe my skills and qualities. I'd also like to address that I'm really grateful for this opportunity as I see that many other individuals that are candidates were not granted the same opportunity, which is rather not inclusive, which is something I would work for. So in future years, if I were the NHS president, I'd be able to host more future NHS president debates and make sure that every single candidate is included and involved. And I'd also like to say that I believe I'm the best fit candidate for this role due to the fact that I've always been a natural leader. And with my experience as a leader and leading our student council, I understand what it takes to be this role. And I know that I can take you farther than any
Okay.
place can.
I hosted this, by the way, on my Twitch channel.
Okay. So
You want a
thank you.
cookie?
Okay. Enough. All right. Thank you so much for your two's time today. I just want to remind all the people still watching to please vote tomorrow, whether who you vote for, whether it's Matthew, Ian, Madison, Michael, any of the other candidates. Even though a lot of people in the comments say that they're going to vote for Madison because this debate was trash. So great job today. So yes, thank you all for watching. Vote Charlie Gawthrop for NHS Vice President because I'm the best. And thank you. Goodbye, everyone.